Hey, what's up, you guys? So today I'm coming at you with part one of my eyeshadow palette collection. I wanted to do a big, like, overall eyeshadow palette thing, but I felt like that video would be super long. So today I'm starting out with a shorter portion, and that is my, like, drugstore or, like, lower end eyeshadow palettes. And then, the next video will be the high-end ones. There's definitely more high-end ones than there are the drugstore. But I thought I would show them to you anyway, just so you could get an overall feel of what is in my eyeshadow palette collection. I definitely decluttered a lot before my Wales trip. So this is my decluttered collection, even though there is a lot of eyeshadow palettes still, just because I love them so much. So without further ado, let's jump into it. Like I said, these are all drugstore slash, like, lower end. Like, I have some brands, kind of like Morphe and Juvia's Place in here, that I would consider drugstore just because they're not, like, $50 palettes. They're more like, $20 palettes or that kind of thing. So anyway, let's jump into it with the probably most inexpensive ones here. These two are from Maybelline. These are the City Mini palettes. I had a ton of these before I decluttered, and these are the two that I decided to keep. The first one is the collaboration that they did with Makeup by Shayla. I think it's just called the X Shayla palette. It looks like this. You have some nice mattes and some nice metallics and shimmers. And then this one is the High Rise Sunset palette. So these are just a bunch of warm tones. I believe all these shades are matte as well. So it is a nice little warm matte palette to have. Then I have a bunch of ColourPop. The first one is the Take Me Home palette. You guys know I love this one. I've raved about it a lot. It's a little 6-pan palette. You have 3 mattes, 2 that are kind of like satin shimmery shades, and then 1 that is just this like chunky metallic shade that is really, really gorgeous. I took this with me to Wales when I went over in June with this and the Tartelette in Bloom palette. That was all I really needed as far as looks go. I think this is a really versatile little palette. And then also from ColourPop, I have these two. These are the Ulta exclusive ones they used to have. The Sweet Nothings palette, which looks like this. A little bit more cool toned, lots of purples, pinks. There's like this gold here. And then the other one, which I kind of like more, is the Rendezvous palette, which is a lot more warmer. Basically your warm tone palette with the pop of blue. I tend to get drawn to palettes like that, even though I know it's overplayed and like a lot of brands do that. Again, I just love the warm tones, and then like a lot of times that little pop of blue makes it for me. And speaking of those kinds of palettes, the next one I have is Juvia's Place. This is the only one I have from them, but I really like the palette. This is the Saharan 2 by Juvia's. And this one, I mean, talk about your warm palette with the pops of blues. But these are all really pretty. I really like the matte shades. This shade here is really nice. I actually use it a lot for like an inner corner highlight, just because it's something a little more fun with all these warm tones. But there's like 6 shimmers, 3 mattes. You do get like your neutral brown in here, shimmery color. And this nice, like, kind of peachy one. I'd say these 3 are a little more neutral shades. Then you get into your kind of fun, colorful ones, and then you have your nice, like, basic mattes. So, really nice palette on this. I love the formula of the Juvia's palettes. And then I have 2 from BH Cosmetics. The first one is the Royal Affair palette. This one looks like this. I feel like it's kind of a good dupe for the Sultry palette from Anastasia. You get similar tones in here. You even get that kind of like pinky color that is in that palette. But these colors are really nice. I do admit I haven't used this one too much yet, so I still have some playing around to do with this palette, but the colors are really grungy and pretty. And then this one is the Solar Flare palette. This is their Baked Shadow formula. looks like this. Again, lots of warm tones. There's a purple in here. This one here is really nice. This is the shade Photosphere. It's a nice kind of duochromy, yellowy gold with like an orange shift to it. I don't know. I think it's really, really pretty. I love the baked formulas. I never used to, but then when people started talking about how good the Zodiac palette was, which I still haven't tried, I grabbed this one instead, and I've been kind of blown away by the baked shadows. So really, really pretty. Then I have the Makeup Revolution Emily Edit the Wants palette. This one I really like. I love Emily Noel, so I am kind of biased in that regard. But these are the shades here. They're really nice. The formula is okay. It's a good palette if you're like a beginner to makeup, because the shades aren't that hard to blend out, and you do get a good array of all kinds of different shades. My favorite is probably this Pi Phi shade. It's this dark purple. I like to use it in the crease, but then I also like these Eve Rose and Belle Violet shades. So yeah, I still have some playing around to do with this palette. There was a time where this was all I would use, and so I had to put it away to not use it. But I think it's about time I pull it back out. What do you guys think? And then the last two kind of drugstore palettes I have are both from Morphe. I have the 35F palette, which I actually got in California at the Morphe store, the original Morphe store, before they moved and got like crazy huge. But this is this one. You can buy this one at Ulta if you do decide that you like these colors. They're all shimmery metallics except for this row right here. It gives you basically any kind of transition shade that you would need, as well as, you know, all of these shimmery colors. These two down here, these like two lightest shades, are actually really pretty as a face highlight as well. I've done that before. But yeah, these are all kind of fall tones, like warm reds and golds and things like that. Super pretty on the eyes. And then I have the one and only Morphe James Charles palette. To be honest, I don't really watch James Charles that much, but my sister got this for me for Christmas. And at that time, I was kind of like, I don't need this palette, you know, I don't really watch him, I don't need it. But now that I have it, it's a gorgeous palette. Around Christmas and like the holidays, this was all I was wearing on my eyes. This is a gorgeous face highlight as well as this color here. But I have played around with a lot of the purples and pinks. I used the green on Christmas Day. I used a lot of these like neutrally warm tones. I think the only part of this palette I haven't dipped into are the blues, just because I don't normally tend to wear blues on my eyes. And also this yellow here, which I have been kind of thinking about using because it's just so bright. And I think this is the only like true yellow that I have in my collection. So yeah, that's that palette there. It's really, really pretty. I love it. So yeah, those are all of the drugstore palettes that I have. Like I said, my next video will be the high-end ones, but I hope you guys enjoyed this regardless. Let me know what your favorite drugstore palette is in the description, in the comments down below. And I'll also try to post like links to any of these palettes in the description. So if you're interested in them, you can go ahead and purchase them there. So yeah, until next time, I will talk to you guys soon. I hope you have a beautiful day. Bye.